The information shared on LightBody Radio is for educational and informational purposes only. The content of this podcast is not intended to be a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Always seek the advice of your physician, licensed healthcare provider, or qualified wellness practitioner with any questions you may have regarding a medical condition or health goal. Dr. Laura May, her guests, and affiliates do not claim to cure, prevent, or treat any condition and are not responsible for any actions taken based on the information shared in this podcast. By listening to this podcast, you acknowledge that you are responsible for your own health decisions and that any actions you take based on the content are at your own discretion and risk. Thank you for tuning in to LightBody Radio.
Welcome to LightBody Radio, where science meets soul and healing gets multidimensional. I am your host, Dr. Lara May, functional medicine pharmacist, master intuitive Reiki channel, and certified life and health coach. Here we decode root causes, transmute stuck energy, and empower your full spectrum healing journey, body, mind, and light body. This isn't just wellness, it's awakening, grounded in science, guided by spirit, and designed for your evolution. Let's rise and radiate. Welcome to the next level of you. Hello and welcome to LightBody Radio. I am your host, Dr. Lara May, and today I have with me Kim Louise. She is a medical intuitive and holistic nutritionist. She was born a medical intuitive empath who has combined her intuitive abilities with 25 plus years of helping people to optimize their health, drawing on a decade of work under naturopathic doctors and a certification in holistic nutrition. She skillfully combines intuitive body scans with evidence-informed holistic nutrition and knowledge to uncover the emotional, energetic, and physical causes of stubborn health challenges. Known for her grounded nature and intuitive clarity, she turns her insights into inspiring practical steps that her clients can trust. She shares these intuitive insights on her YouTube channel and her podcast, Medical Intuitively Speaking, where she interviews metaphysical practitioners and discusses themes and patterns that are both unique and common in her work with clients. In addition to her medical intuition, she offers energy healing sessions that weave together Dr. William Bengston's rapid image cycling method, which I'm interested to hear about, Reiki, psychic surgery, soul retrieval, and chakra balancing. She is also designing medical intuition courses that will launch online early this year, 2026. And the classes will pair foundational anatomy and physiology with learning how to access intuition about the health issues of their clients. Welcome.
Thank you, dear. I appreciate it. I'm happy to be here. And I especially love talking about health and metaphysics. That's really my happy place.
Yeah, so let's dive in a little bit to your journey, just so our audience can learn a little bit more about you, other than the bio. But I always love to get to my guests a little bit better.
Yeah, sure. So you had mentioned I was born a medical intuitive and an empath. So I could always see the truth about what people were feeling or thinking, and whether they were ready to acknowledge it or not. And that wasn't really met with warmth at all. It was met with invalidation. So I grew up in a very invalidating environment. So that made me really mistrust all of the information that I was being shown. And that was kind of rough. So I kind of went through a large part of my life kind of getting the information yet not trusting it. And that's not really healthy at all. I always leaned toward health and medicine and helping others or healing others. So I got a degree in nutrition and I worked in that world for many years. And along the way, kind of decided, oh, I'm going to switch into project management. So I was moving farther away from health, and where I thought would be more financially stable. But that's where everything all went wrong. And so working in a lot of different manufacturing companies, doing project management work, including pharmaceutical companies and dietary supplement companies and cosmetics and hair care. So it was definitely moving away from my life's purpose. Didn't know it. So where it all went wrong was I kept losing my jobs. And it got to a point I couldn't even get a job. And then was forced to move out of state, to move in with my family, and was very unhappy. But this was a course correction, kind of like my dark night of the soul. And I was absolutely kicking and screaming. But what it did was it forced me to get back into nutrition. So that's when I decided to get the certification in holistic, which is very different from conventional nutrition, almost the opposite. And then I got a job as a clinical trainer in the dietary supplement industry, and that was fantastic. Along the way was I kept feeling the pull to metaphysics and the occult and decided to take some courses in medical intuition and then some mentorships. And you know what? Holy cow, I was really good at this. And it felt right. And I did about 70 free sessions for about a year just to prove it to myself. And then I was ready to do this professionally. So that was it. That was the universe saying, "Oh no, no, you're going off course. We're gonna force you to do this." And I'm glad, but it was rough.
Yeah. I think it's sort of the way it is for a lot of us. And I think as we move through this period of awakening, more and more souls are reconnecting and or starting to acknowledge and realize our innate intuitive abilities because we're
Yeah.
all intuitive. It's just a matter of how in touch with it are we? How much do we allow to come through? I think that's a big
Yeah.
part of it too. We go through so much as children, depending on when we were born, where we were born, what
Hmm.
we're born into, and
Yeah.
the culture and all those things. And so there's a lot that we shut down, I think, just out of that survival mechanism, which is normal for our brains and our bodies. That's what
Yeah.
our human bodies are meant to do is survive. And so, but as we grow and evolve and age, certain things come up. And like you said, it was eventually got to the point where you couldn't deny it anymore.
Yeah.
Like the universe was definitely steering you, whether it was comfortable or not. And usually
Mhm.
it's not.
That's
It, you
right.
know, and so I love this because I think so many people can relate to it and it helps
Yeah.
people going through it now not feel so alone and isolated and confused. So
Yeah.
thank you for sharing that part of your story with
Yeah.
us.
No
And
problem.
so what does that look like? Because I know, as intuitives, we all sense things a little differently and things come through for us a little differently, and then therefore we interact with our clients uniquely. And I think that's why I also love talking to so many different intuitive practitioners and also just learning and comparing it to myself, what I do as an intuitive practitioner too. Um, because I think it also like helps people understand that there's probably a intuitive out there to help us that relates to us on a unique level. And like there's almost not enough and there's no shortage and there can never be too many, you know, because we are also unique whether we're giving or receiving. And
Uh-huh.
so what does it look like from your perspective of how you work with clients and how the information comes through and what you're able to enlighten and tell them about what's going on with them?
Yeah. So I'm super grounded in nature. I have a lot of, if there's anyone out there who really is into astrology, my sun, moon, and rising are all air signs. So
Oh,
they're
wow.
super logical, very analytical. And that's what was kind of getting in my own way, with me believing this. Um, so with me being super grounded, um, a lot of my session, and I'll just kind of describe how that typically goes. So, well, first I have to say I can't diagnose because I'm not a doctor. And I base my readings off of a current headshot photo of my client. So they just send me the headshot photo, and I ask that they not tell me anything about their health issues ahead of time. Um, and then I spend 2 hours before the actual session assessing their health. And here's how I get the information. So just by first looking at their photo, I can get a lot of immediate downloads of information. I can get a feeling for their emotions, what they're currently going through with, let's say, relationships, past relationships. Gosh, there was one time where I just knew a client was going through something illegal, some sort of illegal, like a lawsuit. Um, I can also, just from the first impression, pick up the energy of their body where they're holding on to things. Then I move on into having them stand in front of me using my imagination, having them stand in front of me as a whole body hologram. So I can see their body from head to toe, front to back, at I can look at each organ and body system. But what I do with that hologram is that I look at their biofield specifically, so their energy field. And in often there, I will see energy flow, if energy is stuck, if energy is being lost. Sometimes I'll see bubbles coming out of their body. Sometimes I'll see images or these are symbols or metaphors, a whole variety of things I can see that way. Then I will also ask them very specifically. So I'm asking my client's higher self and my medical intuition guides specific questions about their emotions, because that's super duper important. If people are holding on to negative emotions in their body, that can often manifest into disease. So I go through that. And then I have a list of about 60 areas of the body and conditions of the body that I will specifically ask my guides and my clients' higher selves about. If I get a yes to that major category, then I can dive a little bit deeper into what specific areas, and then I can ask for specific images. So that's why it can take me a little bit longer than a lot of other medical intuitives, but this is my own way of doing it, kind of my natural way of doing it combined with all my other training. Hopefully that gives you all an understanding of
Yeah.
how
Well,
I do.
yeah, I want to say too, for anyone out there that's listening to this and you're curious, or maybe you just stumbled upon this and don't really have a lot of experience with what we're talking about. Anytime a medical intuitive session or consult is sought, really, it's not about a diagnosis because most of the time you already have that. I mean, it's the same when people come to me as a functional medicine practitioner. Like, I don't diagnose because you already have that. What you're seeking, whether it's intuitively or from the functional medicine side, are solutions and answers to the underlying problem. What is the root cause of this?
Yeah,
And that is almost always energetic in some way, shape, or form that then translate to a physical manifestation, which then is what is causing our symptoms.
hmm,
And those symptoms is what you take to your doctor that then they give you the diagnosis. So just to dispel sort of, I think that myth or maybe misunderstanding about what the whole purpose of medical intuition is anyway, I think that's helpful to maybe like clarify as well. And so, um,
yeah.
yeah, that's beautiful. I love that. And so do you like record them or do you write it down or how do you present sort of your sessions to your clients?
Well, that's a good question. So I first during that prep, that's just me doing it, and I definitely
Mhm.
write everything down. Then during the actual session, it's done. So I definitely record it. It's
Mm.
done audio only, and I go through the first 5 to 10 minutes. is when I give all of the initial intuitive information that I was shown. Um, and then I ask my clients to fill me in on the main reason or reason why they reached out after I've given that initial information. Then it's more of a discussion. And then it's a combination of me wearing both my intuitive hat and my holistic nutritionist hat. So it's a combo of analytical and intuitive. So then I can ask very targeted questions to my guides. I also oftentimes have my clients send in their, if they're comfortable, of course, send their lab reports because I'm trained in doing that as well. And I can give them a lot of insight as to what labs still need to be tested, what the optimal ranges are versus lab reference ranges,
Oh,
huge
yes.
difference,
Yes.
especially when it comes to thyroid health.
Hmm.
And then also, I will mention a lot of people happen to be deficient in nutrients
Hmm.
like iron, which leads to ferritin issues and iron saturation issues, which then leads to other issues, as I'm sure you know. Um, then um, the session itself lasts 90 minutes to 2 hours. It's a very long session and it's extremely thorough. And they leave there with a better understanding of their health issues. And then, if they need to get further testing, what kind of a practitioner could help them, if I might be suited for them regarding energy healing, because sometimes I'm not.
Mm.
So they walk away with a lot of information.
Do you also receive downloads in terms of like different, like maybe clearing, like on the energy side of things, like what a client may need to do to start get this energy moving? Like, let's say they have some sort of gut health complaint, or maybe it is thyroid, or maybe it's a hormone imbalance of some sort besides the thyroid. Do you get downloads in terms from their guides or your guides saying like, okay, maybe these somatic exercises or breath work, or maybe just like sending themselves love to a certain place in their body to get these stagnicities or whatever it is they're holding on to that's causing this symptom to sort of transmute or dispel or move on?
hmm Yeah, so the first session, the medical intuition session, is not a healing session. However, if I am shown that, let's say I'm the right fit, if they decide to do a healing session, then during that separate healing session, I always ask my guides what is best suited for their individual needs regarding healing. And that can vary. I will say, and I know you want to talk further about the Dr. William Bankston rapid image cycling. I will always be doing the cycling, rapid image cycling during all of the sessions. Sometimes the sessions, sometimes I'm shown by them by my guides that perhaps um, psychic surgery would be best suited, or a soul retrieval, or I mean, a variety of things. Sometimes it's my guides doing the work. Sometimes they instruct me to do the work. Um, I'm also always incorporating Reiki along
Hmm.
with the rapid image cycling. So yes, it can absolutely vary, um, client to client, what's best for them from an energetic standpoint or an emotional standpoint.
Well, I think thank you for pointing that out too, that this specific medical intuitive session is different than an actual energy healing
That's
session.
right. Yeah, I separate.
I think and I think too, probably for like the way the human brain processes information, that's probably better for people to be able to digest the different aspects of the healing process. Like, oh, okay, like first gathering the info, and then now that I have this, how am I going to implement it or what am I going to do with it?
That's right. And you're a medical intuitive, you said, right?
Yes, yes.
Do you mind if you, can I just
Hmm.
ask you a
Sure,
question?
sure, go ahead.
How does yours kind of differ from the way I described mine?
I mean, in a lot of ways, it's similar. So I also have the tune-in process, and I evaluate. I'm I'm more claircognizant and clairaudient. So when I tune in, sometimes I will see sort of like the whole hologram as you described it, but a lot of times as I move through in my sort of systems-based approach, the way my mind does it,
Uh-huh.
I just get different either like messages or intuitive hits or things like that that come through very strongly. And so for me, similar, like I write them down. And then when I'm on this call for the client, then we discuss that. And sometimes I will immediately just be called to like come through and bring through some like clearing statements for the client right there on the spot. But similarly, sometimes I get messages that say, okay, like these are the things they need to do that doesn't include me as that um how would I don't like calling myself a healer, but as that tool for them. Like the tools are don't include me. Like it's a path that they need to navigate outside of the session with me. So whether it's, referring to other practitioners or other modalities, that is also very true with the work I do with clients as well.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, it depends. So sometimes my sessions will include some healing aspects and clearing there on the spot, and other times not always.
Gotcha. Well, thanks for sharing
Mm.
that.
Yeah. Well, okay, so let's dive in more because I am not familiar with the modality of did I say his last name right? Dr.
Yeah,
William
Bankston.
Bengston?
Yeah,
Bengston.
yeah,
Okay. So
yeah.
what is that rapid image cycling method?
I'm gonna do my best to describe it because it's it's unique. Obviously, it's unique. So Dr. William Bankston is a researcher. Unfortunately, he recently passed away, um, almost a year ago. But he was doing research in with he researched this modality primarily regarding cancer with rats. Um, and I'm going to back up and kind of explain what the modality entails. And all right, here's the weirdness of it. You need to kind of create a list of about 20 plus things that you want for your life. It's kind of the foundation of this modality is almost a manifestation tool. So you
Okay.
create a list of about 20 plus things that you want for your life. Let's say you want to go to, Spain and you want to get a special car or a special house. You create this list and you create images of the things that you want, you feel them out. Then the best example is to kind of imagine a giant film strip connected one end to the other. And in the film strip, you put those images in. And then you imagine that film strip uh, cycling, going in circles as fast as you can possibly imagine. And with that, you can kind of set it in the back of your mind or anywhere, kind of imagining it out in space somewhere, but imagine it's there all the time. So that's your personal manifestation tool. Where it helps with the healing portion is your intention. So let's say you intend to heal your client and you know what your client looks like. And basically, you send your healing intention to your client. Um, it's really that easy. That's the manifestation. I'm sorry, that is the tool of how to do it. They have courses on it at the Dr. William Bankston website. It's called Bankston Research, I think, .com. His last name is spelled B as in boy E, N as in Nancy, Gston.
Hmm.
But let me explain the research that he did regarding cancer, and you'll see all the research on his website. Um, regarding mice, they would inject the mice with mammalian cancer cells, so breast cancer cells. And it's a known fact that they will always die. I think it's within a 28 day time frame. So that was a fact. No matter what, they will always die then.
Okay, so
So
that would be considered a control, like a
that's right.
controlled aspect of the study. So yeah,
That's right.
that's very important. Thank you for bringing
Yes.
that up. Yeah.
hmm Then they would have the mice so they'd have two sets. So the control and then the mice that they would do the rapid image cycling on. And this involved, I mean, so many studies at so many different um, universities around the world. And when they did the rapid image cycling method, the mice would live. The can't remember the proper terminology for it. I want to say that the cancer remitted,
Mm.
and there's a lot of in-depth information, like I said, on his website. But and there's a lot of information also on YouTube. They just created a YouTube channel for it, so you can get trained in it.
Well,
They
I
have
think it's
wonderful
really,
training.
yeah, I think it's really interesting too that these were rodent studies, but it did show because I think a lot of times too, within the whether it's Western medicine or or health and healing industry in general, when we see a study that's not done on humans, we sort of discount it. We're like, oh, well, that happened with animals, but that might not necessarily be true with humans. And that could be true. But I
Yeah.
think when we can see something like this, which is very intangible and hard to study and research and prove anyway, but that we see it and it is successful and it does show either like a disease reversal or remittance or some sort of positive outcome like that with animals, I think that's fascinating because we
Mhm.
already, I mean, we don't really understand how animals perceive and and um think, I guess is the best way to say it.
Yeah.
But relative to like it's hard for us to sort of understand it in relation to how we think and perceive and a lot of times humans sort of get scolded on the in the scientific side of things for anthropomorphizing animal like assigning human attributes to animals. So I think this is super fascinating, that
Mhm.
it is something that was mainly studied in rodents but is definitely translates to human health and healing.
Yeah. And
How fascinating. That's really cool.
yeah, and to kind of elaborate a little bit more, they definitely have done studies for humans as well.
Sure.
Right now, there is one of the main, one of the trainers that and close friends of Dr. Bankston. He he is working directly with MD Anderson
Mm.
regarding cell cultures
Hmm.
for I want to say human cells, and then I know that Dr. Bankston has done studies on, non-cancer stuff, a lot of it. So that's where I won't do it for people who happen to have cancer because I don't feel like I have enough experience. So I will refer those people to another person who is trained in Bankston who specializes in that. But I will use it for lots of other things. So
Hmm.
it's pretty fascinating. Um, so I would definitely encourage people to check out that website.
Yeah, cool. Thank you. I have
Yeah.
another question too. So when you're, either tuning in prior or with a client, how do you differentiate between a physical, emotional, or energetic cause of a health issue? How does that
hmm
come through for you?
That would, so the energetic, I'm going to typically see that as in their bioframe, in their biofield of their hologram. So I'm going to see things like, I'll give you an example. One of my clients I was shown almost like a rope, an energetic rope around her neck. And um, it felt, I was given the feelings of suffocation or strangulation. And it turned out that and so this client of mine was older. I want to say she was in her 70s. Um, when she was 15 years old, her mother actually strangled her
Mm.
and almost killed her. So that was why I was shown that rope. And then also another reason I was shown such a focus on the neck area and how those unresolved emotions were manifesting is I was shown she had suboptimal thyroid hormones, which she did. So she had hypothyroid disease. She had known she had had it for years. So
Mhm.
that's an energetic thing that I was shown. Emotions, sometimes I'll just feel the emotions that they're feeling. That's not the most pleasant thing to
Yeah.
experience. Um, or sometimes I'll just have a knowing, clear cognizant,
Mhm.
knowing that they're experiencing emotions, particular ones. Um,
But
or I'll
they're
just,
not like processing them.
yeah,
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 yeah, because
that's
I feel like that's usually
exactly.
what that is. Like it's a recurrent emotion that you're not
Hmm.
fully feeling or processing. And
Yeah,
so then therefore it actually hangs out longer. Like that old saying, like what we resist persists, unfortunately.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
very, very true. And so then it, like you said, it manifests as to something into something physical, like
yeah,
if we don't address or move through things, then our higher self will, eventually sort of like start yelling at us in a way that we will finally hear, whether
yeah.
we understand it as that or not.
That's very true. And then the physical, sometimes I will see that in the hologram that I project in front of me. Or I will just go through that list of 60 areas of the body and literally kind of one by one look through the entire body. And if I get a yes to those questions that I specifically asked for, then I'll ask to be shown those images. And then I can kind of zoom in a little bit further and describe what I'm shown.
Okay.
Sometimes I'm shown, let's say, regarding liver health, I've been shown almost like bumps on the liver, or I'll be shown, um, let's say, blockages in blood vessels, but I can't diagnose. So I have to describe. So if there's let's say, a blockage in a blood vessel, I can explain that they need to support their circulation and the endothelial lining of their blood vessel. And I can say where it's located, that sort of thing. So they can follow up with an imaging scan or whatever they need to do.
Well, I've found too that when I describe what I'm seeing or whatever the intuitive message is and how it's coming through for me to the client, a lot of times they'll say, "Oh, well, that makes sense because," and
Uh-huh.
then they'll explain. And so there is also this piece of acknowledgement and deeper understanding, which I also feel is a super important part to the healing process.
Hmm.
I'm a big believer, as I'm sure you are too, in miraculous healing and
Hmm.
healing without necessarily having to have some sort of medical intervention. And I think connecting those dots is a big piece of that. And so, I, like in some ways, yes, our human mind and our culture is so still attached to maybe that diagnosis or that correlation to something in Western medicine to quote unquote fix it.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
But I think there's a huge aspect of healing, and I've seen this too in my QHHT practice and sessions where
Oh.
um
Oh.
yeah, where I mean
Right.
things can just be miraculously and instantaneously
Yeah.
healed just by having a deeper understanding of that connection of, like you said, well, maybe it shows up as bubbles or a darkness or a different
Hmm.
color or whatever it is. And just because we don't really understand it, well, because it's not ours, first of all. So,
Hmm.
we're just meant to be the communicator, the translator.
That's
But
right.
when we say it to our client, they immediately know and understand why it's coming through that way. And I think it's actually really helpful for them to hear those things. And I think as a practitioner, sometimes we can doubt the validity or the gravity of saying what we're seeing or getting or feel, or hearing, but it really is helpful.
I want to share a funny story with you. So I did experience a client, and occasionally clients will not know what I'm talking about when I describe when I'm shown. A
Hmm.
lot of them will know, like you mentioned. In this particular case, I had a client, and I was looking at her abdomen area, kind of around liver gallbladder area. And I was shown symbolically a rust-colored tool. I have no idea why I'm shown a rust-colored tool. And it's, it's really important for a medical intuitive to not interpret, because what you
Right.
mentioned, we didn't live their life. We have no idea. So I mentioned to my client um, about this rust-colored tool, and she says, I have no idea what that is. And I said, it's okay. It might dawn on you later.
Mm-hmm.
So a few weeks later, I get an email, and this is the funniest thing. She said she it finally dawned on her. She had had some past life regression sessions in the past where she was, I want to say it was the late 1800s. She was a cowboy um, who ultimately ended up getting into a fight. He had this cowboy had a very bad temper, ended up getting into a fight, ended up killing someone. And guess what that guy's name was? The cowboy's name was Rusty. And this resonated so much with her after that past life regression, because she deals with anger issues
Mm-hmm.
big time. And she told her family and friends about it, and they actually nicknamed her Rusty.
Oh
But
gosh.
it's funny that during this session, she couldn't remember that. So occasionally
Sure.
that'll happen. They just
Yeah.
like they blank out. But and I also during the session I was shown a big focus on liver health.
Mm-hmm.
So
And that's where anger lives in our
that's
body
where
too,
anger
in the
exactly.
liver.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this was that was a really great um example of, you may not remember exactly what's happening during
Yeah.
any intuitive session, to be honest. You could remember later on.
Yeah, and that's why we record the QHHT sessions, because
Uh-huh.
when clients are in that deep hypnotic state, they may or may not remember it
Right.
when they come out, but they
Hmm.
do have a not only a soul remembering, but as they listen to the replay, there can be a lot of residual healing the more and more they listen to those
Right.
replays too.
Yeah.
So,
Oh,
and I'm
yeah.
sure that's also true with
Uh-huh.
the recordings of your sessions as
Yeah.
well.
Hmm.
Well, thank you so much, Kim. This has
You're
been
welcome.
wonderful. Before we run out of time, I want to make sure that we leave space for you to tell us either like where you want to send people, where they can find
Hmm.
your podcast, what you're working on. We have just a couple minutes left. So
Yeah,
tell
sure.
us all those good things.
Okay, my website is kimlouisemedicalintuitive.com. Also, I have my YouTube page, which is also Kim Louise Medical Intuitive. My podcast is on most major platforms, and that is called Medical Intuitively Speaking. And then, boy, am I remembering everything or am I forgetting? Also, I have, as you had mentioned earlier, I have some classes, on-demand classes coming out in early 2026. So probably around March, April for a foundational medical intuition class and then a more advanced one. So be on the lookout for that. And I'll eventually have a just kind of like a waiting list on my website so people
Mhm.
can be notified for that.
Well,
And thank you for having me on. I really
yeah.
appreciate it.
Well, thank you so much. And I would encourage anyone out there, if you're curious, intro to medical intuition is fascinating. You learn so much about yourself. So, like, it doesn't have to be that you're even thinking about doing it for anyone else. Like,
Mhm.
I would recommend totally like exploring it from the lens of, ooh, what can I learn about myself? Thank you for joining me on LightBody Radio, where functional medicine meets intuitive healing and transformation happens on every level. If this episode resonated with you, please like, share, and if you're ready to go deeper, visit drlaramay.com to book a functional medicine consultation or an intuitive healing session. Whether you need to rebalance your body, clear your energetic blocks, or reconnect with your soul's purpose, I've got you. You can also follow me on Instagram or TikTok at Dr. Lara May for daily inspiration energy updates, and healing tools. Remember, your healing is multidimensional, and so are you. Until next time, honor your body, trust your intuition, and activate your light.